Hello everyone. Today we will have this obstetric lecture, and now we are going to start about the labor, normal labor, and disorders related to labor, and pediatric section, that is newborn baby or infant. Before that, we have to start the basic concepts about the labor. Normal labor or vaginal delivery, that is the process where there is actual birth of baby from genital tract, and the process is usually normally spontaneous and without any assistance or without any interference. So that delivery is called as normal delivery. We had seen about induction of labor. In that we induce the labor, that means we artificially start the labor pain. So that is not the normal delivery. So in normal delivery, but that will be vaginal delivery. But in normal delivery, no external force is applied. It is a procedure which is spontaneous and which is continuous without any interference. So that is the procedure where we have passage of birth, where there is, these are the movements of baby in the passage during the birth. So for that we have to know what is the passage, who is the passenger, what is the tract, and from which baby has to travel. So for that we have to know the passage for normal delivery or vaginal delivery. So the passage is pelvis, pelvic cavity, female pelvic cavity is the passage, and passenger is fetus, that is baby. So in normal delivery, as we are considering the normal delivery or vaginal delivery, which is usually normal, in that the baby or the fetus is the passenger, and the presenting part or the part which gets out first, that will be vertex or head. So from the head or vertex, baby is usually delivered. First delivering part is vertex or head. So the passenger and the presenting part of baby is vertex or head. So we are dealing with the two things, that is a female passage, bony passage, that we called as bony pelvis, and passenger, and with a bony surface, that is fetus and fetal skull. So these two things we have to study to clear our basics. So now we will start with female pelvis, bony pelvis. In that we will see about the pelvis. The bony pelvis, and in anatomy we had discussed about this bony pelvis. We all know the pelvis and normally bones of pelvis, that is ilium, ischium and pubis, sacrum and coccyx. These are the normal bones of pelvis. This is the medial surface. All these things you had studied in anatomy. This is just to revise and to clear your fundas. That broad bone is ilium, this is the ischium, and that is the pubis. So this is the normal inner surface of pelvis. Now what is the pelvic brim? That is the inlet of pelvic cavity, which divides the pelvic cavity in false pelvis and true pelvis. So that is the inlet of pelvis. False pelvis is formed by the iliac portion of innominate bones and limited above by the iliac crest. Actually this is the false pelvis. Actually this function of this false pelvis is to support the uterus during pregnancy. So that is the false pelvis. Usually, in short, clinically we consider the pelvic cavity, which is usually considered at abdominal cavity, that we call as false pelvis, that is above the hip bone, and the pelvic cavity, which is actually the bony passage, we call it as true pelvis. So true pelvis is the bony portion of the pelvis, and this consists of these bones we had seen just now. So that is about pelvic brim. Now this is the structure of pelvis. In that sacral chronometry is given: sacrum, coccyx, iliac fossas, iliac anterior iliac spines, pelvic brim, ischial spines, pubic crest, pubic symphysis. These are the landmarks or the main bones or the things on the pelvis. This is the normal structure of female pelvis. Now this is the bony pelvis. In female pelvis, the brim of the pelvis is oval in shape, and it have got anterior posterior diameter, that is about 11.5 centimeter, transverse diameter, that is 12.5 centimeter, and the pelvic canal is usually curved and the almost round in shape. These are the diameters. This is the just for the difference of female inlet and female pelvis and male pelvis. That is the difference between the shape of pelvis. This is the bony pelvis with all the bones. This is again the detail and description about the pelvic cavity. Now these are the different types of pelvis. We had discussed these types of pelvis in CPD also, cephalopelvic disproportion. So gynecoid pelvis, see the cavity of pelvic bone, which is usually round in shape, so that in that a baby can easily pass, and passage of baby is quite wide. In platyploid, it is look at the shape. Because of this shape, a round head of baby cannot pass through it. Android, as it is very narrow, and even in anthropoid, the baby's head cannot pass. So these are the abnormal shapes of pelvis. This is about the gynecoid pelvis, which is round and it have good sacral curve and spines are not prominent. Again, this is about the android pelvis. This is anthropoid and this is platyploid. We had discussed in detail about these types of pelvis in CPD. This is just for revising the things. These are the pelvic walls. Above the brim, these are the things, and side walls, posterior wall and pelvic floor. This is actually in detail about the pelvic muscle and other things. You don't have to be you don't have to go in detail about this, but you have to know the normal shape of pelvis, what are the bones in pelvis, and how baby has to travel from the pelvis. This is again the bony passage of pelvis with other things. Now these are the ligaments. We have to know about these ligaments because weakening of this ligament will cause obstruction of labor. So these types of ligaments are important. This is again the joints of pelvis. Now what are the factors which make the vaginal delivery actually possible are the things where sacral pronometry cannot be felt, ischial spines should not be prominent, and the arch except two fingers, at least we can pass our two fingers while doing PSPV examination. These things are usually seen, and Nuncle test, that is 4 fingers, nuncles of these 4 fingers can pass through the pelvic examination. In that also, these things also we had seen in CPD. To rule out the cephalopelvic disproportion, we do all these types of per vaginal examination. We feel the curve of sacrum, the tuberosities, the spines, how are they prominent or they are not. These things we do in our per vaginal examination so that we can decide whether the patient can have vaginal delivery or should she refer for cesarean. Now these are the conjugates of obstetric things. These are the conjugates, that means the distance between the different types of bones, that we called as conjugates in obstetric language. Now these are the lengths of the pelvis. So this is about the pelvic cavity. In short, the diameters of pelvis, we have to know about these diameters of pelvis, where you should know the diameters of pelvis. Now in this pelvis, you can see the anterior and posterior side of pelvis. Okay. Pubic symphysis is usually on the anterior side and sacrum bone is on posterior side. So this is the true conjugate, distance between the sacral pronometry to the pubic symphysis, or pubic symphysis to sacral pronometry. That distance is called as anterior posterior diameter. That is the true conjugate. We can call it as true conjugate from this pubic symphysis to sacrum. anteriorly from pubic symphysis to posteriorly up to sacrum. That is, that diameter is called as anterior posterior diameter, and it is called as true conjugate. And length of this diameter is 11 centimeter in normal pelvis. We are talking, so that was about anterior posterior diameter. Next diameter is transverse diameter. This diameter is the distance between the pelvic brims, two sides of pelvis. The distance is transverse distance, so it is measured between the two halves of pelvis, that is pelvic brim. Distance between pelvic brim is called as transverse diameter, and this is about 13 centimeter in length. This is again, we are talking in gynecoid normal pelvis. The lengths are in gynecoid pelvis. Next diameter is oblique diameter, which is there are two oblique diameters, right and left oblique diameter, and they extends from one sacroiliac joint to iliopectinal eminence. So the diameter will start from sacroiliac joint to iliopectinal eminence. So these are oblique diameters, and the length of these diameters is about 12.5 centimeter. Again, this thing is of normal pelvis. So these diameters, anterior posterior diameter 11 centimeter, transverse diameter which is usually 13 centimeter, and this oblique diameter is 12.5 centimeter. These diameters are normal diameters from which baby can pass. So now these basic things in female bony pelvis by which baby can pass. Now if the shape of this pelvis is narrow, which is usually seen in different types of pelvis like anthropoid and android and other things, these diameters are less, like in anterior posterior diameter which should be 11 centimeter, in android pelvis it is more than 11 centimeter, and in anthropoid it is less than 11 centimeter. So any diameter which is normally any diameter of pelvis should be in normal range. If at all they are not in that range, the passage of baby is difficult, so that causes obstruction of labor. So this is in short about bony pelvis or pelvic cavity of female. Different bones we had studied, and various types of shapes of pelvis, pelvic cavity, and the diameters of female pelvis, and various shapes of pelvis also, and ligaments of pelvis. So that was about female pelvis. Now these slides we had seen just now, but for your basic knowledge we have to know the basic diameters of pelvis. Just to revise your thing, we had seen the various types of bone and other things, but for important point for our normal delivery is anterior posterior diameter, oblique diameter, and transverse diameter. So that was about the female passage. In female passage, usually the bony pelvic cavity should be broad in round shape and with these types of diameters, so that baby's passage is easy. Now what is the passenger? Fetal skull or fetal head is the passenger. So now we are going to discuss about fetal skull. Fetal skull, areas of fetal skull are first is vertex. Vertex is the area which is usually it is the area which is prominent on the fetal skull, and it consists of it is a quadrangular shape, and skull is formed by the face, vault, and the base, and the bones of the skull that form are frontal bones, parietal bones, temporal bones, and the bones of face and face and bases are very heavy and they are fused. Two frontal, two parietal, and two occipital. The bones of the vault are not joined. That changes in the shape of fetal head during the labor, and that we called as molding. As we all know, the baby adopt the movement during the passage while vaginal delivery. Baby changes the shape, and because of that, baby's head is not properly matured and it is not completely joined. After birth of baby, in some months, the joints are usually fused. So the joints are not completely fused, and this is for molding, to change the shape of head, as head is the hard structure, and sometimes it has got some bony passage in pelvis also, and the as the baby's head is also bony thing, it adopts some changes, and because of that it can easily pass through the pelvis, and the changing of the shape of baby is called as molding. Now these are the things. This is about the fetal head, where there is parietal bones on the sides, frontal bone, and the sutures are given. This is about detail of frontal bone, parietal bone, temporal bone, and there are different types of sutures on the head of fetus. This is the distance between the parietal bone, that is biparietal diameter, and the distance is 9.5 centimeter. So again, this distance is a lesser distance than female diameters. Female diameters were 11, 12.5 and 13 centimeter. So this diameter can easily pass from the pelvis. So this is again the normal thing. So it is a biparietal diameter. Sagittal suture is the suture which is which starts from the frontal thing to occipital, and frontal suture, that is the suture which separates the frontal bones. Now these are the things we can see on the fetal head. Now this is about the bregma. These are the skull definitions, different types of skull prominences. Bregma is the anterior frontanale which is seen on the anterior side. Brows are the eyebrows of baby between the bregma and the root of nose. Face, that is the face of baby. Occiput, that is the bony prominence. Vertex is the diamond shape area between the anterior and posterior frontanale and the parietal eminence. So that is vertex. Now these are the different types of frontanales and various types of suture. This is about the in front, it is a face, temporal bones, parietal bones, frontal bones, and all the sutures are given. Lambdoid suture and coronal suture, anterior frontanale. Anterior frontanale is a soft part on baby's head. Usually this takes some months to mature. So that these are the things. Now these are the sutures. Frontal suture, that is between two frontal bones. Sagittal suture, that is between two parietal bones. Coronal suture, that is between parietal and frontal bones. Lambdoid is between parietal and occipital. Temporal suture is between parietal and temporal. So these are the sutures of fetal skull. These sutures are not properly filled while during the delivery. After delivery, within 6 months, all the sutures are fused, they are joined, and complete maturity of baby occurs till 1 year. So these are the different types of sutures and various types of bony prominences we had seen. Now these are the frontanales. This is anterior frontanale which we had seen in this slide. This is the anterior frontanale and posterior frontanale. These are the two frontanales basically, and this anterior one is diamond shaped. This is between coronal and sagittal suture. Posterior, or it is called as lambda, which is a triangular shape between sagittal and lambdoid suture. These are the different types of diameter. These diameters are important because the length of these diameters usually is connected with female pelvis. Whenever the length is more than 13 centimeter, that length of female fetal skull cannot pass through pelvis. We had seen a basic lengths of female pelvis, that is anterior posterior 11, oblique 12.5, and transverse it is 13. So after 13 centimeter, baby's head can be obstructed in pelvis. So fetal head length should be in this range, that is suboccipitobregmatic. This is the diameter which is usually ideal diameter and it easily passes through pelvis. It is about 9.5 centimeter. Next diameter is submentobregmatic, that is 9.5 centimeter. This also can pass through pelvis. Occipitomental diameter is 13 centimeter, where delivery of baby is not possible. Usually this diameter is seen in face presentation. Whenever the baby is presented by face, this diameter is engaged in pelvis. So there is no progress and baby gets obstructed. Occipitofrontal diameter, that is 11.5 centimeter. This can pass through the pelvis, but again it depends on the other conditions also. Sufficient contractions, baby size and other things, because this is on the very borderline, that is 11.5 centimeter. Otherwise suboccipitobregmatic and submentobregmatic, these two diameters can easily pass and vaginal delivery is possible. Biparietal diameter, that is 9.5 centimeter. In between parietal bones, suboccipitobregmatic, this is 9.5. Suboccipitofrontal 10.5, again risky diameter. These were the diameters. This is just the molding or the changes of fetal head during the passage to alter the shape or the direction. This is again degree of molding, where actually baby changes the shape and size. So that is about the fetal head. So in short, what we had discussed is about the female pelvis and fetal skull. This is for your demonstration in practicals, as well as this is for basic concept for starting our normal delivery, because now it is not possible to show the demonstration of normal labor. So we have to go through all these things. So basically clear the fundas of female pelvis. Female pelvis is the pelvic cavity, as we all know, we had studied in anatomy. But just to revise, the bones of pelvis and the diameters of pelvis. For obstetric, we have got 3 diameters which are important: anterior, posterior, transverse and oblique, and averagely they are about 12 to 13 centimeter. So mind it well that any diameter of pelvis and fetus should be within 13 centimeter, so that there can be passage of the baby's head or any baby's part. But whenever the presenting part or the baby's presentation or baby's diameter is more than 12.5 or 13 centimeter, no, the labor should not be progressed and there can be arrest of labor. So we had seen the female pelvis. You should have to know about the different bones of pelvis, joints of pelvis and various diameters. Next is about fetal skull. Skull bones, we all know the bones of the skull, but for fetal skull, just to revise all the things, what are the different types of bones, what are the sutures? Sutures means the connecting portion or connecting part of that particular bones. And as we all also know that the fusion of bones of newborn baby is not complete, it takes time to complete the fusion. So molding is very important. Baby shows some change in size and shape during the passage, that we called as molding. And baby's diameter, which are easily get accessible path through the pelvis, are suboccipitobregmatic, or that is the 9.4 centimeter. So this is in short about the female pelvis and fetal skull.